Hey y'all, it's Katie. Hope everyone's doing well today. Today we are talking about The Cursed Child. For anyone who doesn't know, The Cursed Child is a play set in the future of the Harry Potter series written by J.K. Rowling, John Tiffany, and Jack Thorne. Since this book is a play and it's written by other authors as well, there's been a lot of debate on whether or not the events in this book compilation are canonical. This book follows the life of Albus Severus Potter, the son of Harry and Ginny, the middle child between James and Lily, and kind of his time at Hogwarts. It does a little bit of time jumping, so you kind of get to see some of his life at school, his life at home, and what's going on before the real action of the plot begins. There are a lot of good elements that are going on, and it's really cool to be back in the wizarding world when you haven't been there in a while since the original Harry Potter series, but that's basically all that I can say that's good about it, and that's all that I can say for the spoiler-free section. So if you have not read The Cursed Child, or I guess seen the play, now is your time to go away. Personally, I hate The Cursed Child. I hate it. Where do I even start? I have so many things to say about the problems that I have with The Cursed Child. I don't know where to begin. I really did love Scorpius and Albus's relationship. I thought that they worked really well together, and it was nice to see how Scorpius could kind of brighten his day and keep him happy, and the way that they work together. I know there's a lot of people who see them just as friends because they want Scorpius to get with Rose, or they see them as a potential ship, and honestly, either way, I'm happy. If they're the best of friends, they would be really great best friends, and if they date, they would be really cute. So that was probably my favorite part and one of the only elements of this that I liked. Okay, I guess my biggest problem with The Cursed Child was the characterization of Harry. The Harry that we see here is not the Harry that we know. He is not the Harry whose head we were inside for 7 books and thousands of pages. Draco literally begged Harry for the sake of his son. He didn't care about himself, but for the sake of his son who was being perpetually bullied and mistreated, he begged him to just confirm to the public that there were no time turners and that Scorpius was his son and not Voldemort's. Begged him. The Harry that jumped on a broom and flew hundreds of feet into the air after never touching one in his life before just because someone took Neville's Remembrall would not let that happen. And I get that he's supposed to be a responsible, confidential adult now, but that's not who Harry is. He breaks rules when necessary to take care of people and make sure that people get what they need, and especially kids. Harry would never, ever, ever let that happen. He would break all of the rules, get fired, do whatever it took to clear Scorpius's name so that he could be treated like a real person. And then the way that Harry treats Albus is so far from the Harry James Potter that we know. Harry grew up in the Dursleys' house, neglected and unloved, and kind of just feeling alone in the world and sad all the time, and he would never, ever, ever let any child of his feel that way. I don't believe that for a second. He would do whatever it took to spend time with his son, to get through to him, just to show him that he loved him. There would be no question. He would never say anything so awful and dark. I can't see it. All the years that he and Ron fought, even when they did, he never let himself say something like that. And his greatest desire, the thing that he saw in the Mirror of Erised, was a family, and he would never ever let anything taint that or harm that or get between him and the family that he eventually was able to have. And I just know. While we're talking about people who were completely out of character for the entire plotline, let's talk about Hermione. On the same vein as Harry, when Draco came begging for Scorpius' sake, Hermione would not have let that happen either. This is the woman who started a society for the promotion of elfish welfare, even though she was already discriminated against because she was a Muggle-born, but still she persisted to fight for the rights of others because equality and justice and kindness and a lack of mistreatment were the most important things to her. That's the core of who Hermione Granger is. She spent all of her time at Hogwarts we know from the way Bellatrix treated her some of the time afterwards, and probably some moments for the rest of her life, being treated differently and poorly because of her birth and her birth status and who her parents were. Why would she ever, ever, ever allow the same to happen to Scorpius? There's no way. She also wouldn't be such a bitch like she is in The Cursed Child. Like, she's just this awful person who I did not enjoy reading about. Like, what? And I know a lot of people are going to put the differences in the characterization down to the fact that they are a lot older and you kind of change and you become a different person when you grow up. And that's totally true. But I don't believe for a second that your core values and who you are as a person completely reverses and turns into a different being entirely. That's not true. You morph and things about you change, but you are the same person inside. I don't think that caring about people and having compassion and love and a desire for equality and justice and happiness is ever going to disappear from you just because you got old. It was really cool, I think, to see the idea of like Cedric not having died, because I know that that's something that a lot of people wish for but doesn't really get toyed with a lot in fan fiction or even discussion about it. Like, it's kind of just like a fact, like set in stone, this time cannot be changed, Cedric died. So I was really excited when the idea was brought forth in the book, and it was like, oh, this is what's happening. Like, I have never been so thrilled at a character not being dead, I don't think. But it was very disappointing. Again, I could understand them feeling betrayed at his death. That makes sense. I could understand him being a little darker because in another world he died. But again, Cedric is a Hufflepuff who, I mean, of course he was flawed. They're all flawed. But he cared about other people and he was nice and he loved everyone. That's why he was so popular with the people in Hogwarts. That's why everybody wanted him to win over Harry, was because Cedric was a nice guy who was friendly with everyone, and I don't think he would turn into someone evil just because of what happened to him. And then my last thing that I want to talk about here, and one of the more problematic things I think, was the idea that in a world where Hermione and Ron didn't get together, that somehow was enough to make her less successful and incapable of reaching her goals. I love Ron and Hermione's relationship. I so ship Hermione, and I think that they're really great together as friends and in a relationship. And I definitely think that having him there would push her to be the best version of herself, and he would encourage her all throughout their relationship. And that would definitely help her in terms of her career. However, I don't think that just because they didn't get together would stop her from achieving those same goals. She was the brightest witch of her age before they were together. She became head girl without his interference or assurance, and I think that she could still definitely become Minister of Magic with or without him as her husband. I understand that for like the idea of kind of a different timeline, things needed to change, and that makes sense, and I'm okay with that. But I think in this particular circumstance, there was no real reason. It didn't make sense, and I thought that it was very demeaning to Hermione as a character, as such a wonderful, wonderful, strong character, and kind of demeaning to women in a little bit. And I know that's a very strong stance because this is just a small thing and it probably wasn't intended to be this way, but I think this is definitely how it comes out, and I really don't enjoy reading a timeline like that, especially in a world that I've loved so much and have had so few problems with thematically. For something like that to happen is really upsetting, I think, as a fan and as a reader. So that is all I have to say on the problems that I have with The Cursed Child and why I do not think that it is canonical, and why, for me, the story does not include that plot line. If you have different opinions, I'd love to hear them. Try to convince me, I guess. Have a good one, y'all.